I can't imagine a worse feeling in life of having an airplane crashing that there's nothing.
And then I mean it was so quick too. It was like we rotated, and then how long were they in the air? 30 seconds. I mean, it wasn't long.
Yeah, that one scares me. Like, just to watch the video, I'm like, oh, that would be terrible. Sex, seniority, and salary in that order.
Back on. You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
It's a show by professional pilots for professional pilots.
I looked back at them and I said, I don't think we're at the right airport. And they go, I don't think we are either.
Each episode, we bring you fascinating conversations with industry experts.
I think I should be a go-to on how to deal with 63, 64-year-old men.
You're going to chase it like a dog chasing a school bus.
But we're not just about the serious stuff. We're here to have fun.
Currently on an overnight in Orlando, and this is by far hell. This is the worst place on earth.
It's a whole thing.
The 21.5 Professional Pilots Podcast is your destination for everything aviation, whether you're cruising in the flight levels or just starting your journey. Welcome back. It's another episode of the show for the pros, 21.5 Podcast. Dylan and Max on the microphone. First show of 2026, Maxwell.
How about that?
I see you're wearing an incredible Straight Talk with Ted shirt from way back in the day.
I know. I found that in my closet.
Magnificent.
See if you noticed. You're very on point.
I actually talked to our boy Ted for quite a while yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Our rival teams were playing last night. I'm a big Seahawks fan, and he's a big 49ers fan, so we had to do a little jousting, little verbal pregame hassling.
Incredible.
Yeah. He's still grinding, doing a lot of DFW action.
Is he ready to come back on the show?
Well, I was just thinking, you know how we had to do the flight advice? We throttled back all the career advice stuff, and now we've got this mountain of career advice. I was just going through all the emails before the show. So I'm thinking, should we start off 2026 with Ted and do a whole Ted career advice show? Maybe? Is that our best use? Is it our highest?
I don't know. We need to do
Ted?
something different. I think maybe we need to do like a separate, maybe like a live show with James, and we do all the career advice, and because some people that are at their final destination, they don't care about the career advice.
I know.
Care. Like what? Like if
Just
I were listening to the show, I'd be like, I don't. Once in a while, maybe just to see what's going on, but I don't need, But for some people, it's ultra valuable, right? So maybe we.
So what do we do with Ted then?
Maybe we carve it out.
I know.
Ted is more for entertainment.
Okay, like entertainment purposes only.
Ted is more for entertainment purposes. James O'Neill is more for actual career advice.
Got it. So, okay.
Because I wouldn't say that Ted has his finger on the pulse of the industry.
In a different way, he does.
In a different way.
Oh my gosh. Well, we've got a lot to get to. We took a few weeks off from the holidays, and now there is a lot to cover. We're going to talk about some recent aviation incidents. We've got some flying action to discuss. You had a very, as a union member, you had a big decision to make with the picket line that we'll talk about, hard landing style. Lots to get to. Maybe some musings as well. Who knows? Let's get right to it. We are recording this on January 4th. I'm about to head to training here in a little bit, so I'm out. Got to get this going here before I'm off to the big D.
Do you ever get pissed off in training like I do, or you're just a more calm person?
Okay, well, I did last year. So I don't know if folks know how things have changed in the Part 91 world, where one, you have to do an oral now for a Part 91 recurrent, which is fine. I don't have a problem with. The other thing is now, the last time they've brought it down to 2 sim sessions, and that the feds want one of the sims to basically be a check ride. So basically like your regular, standard check ride. And so sim number 1 is a check ride prep. So last year I did the check ride prep ride. So basically a practice check ride in sim 1, and then sim 2 was a check ride. And then I left.
Oh,
Zero
great.
training.
Perfect.
Zero, hey, let's try a scenario. Let's do something you don't normally see. No, it was like, well, let's circle to, 4 right at JFK and, do the,
Yeah.
it was just like, this is pointless. And it was just a bunch of box checking. I don't blame CAE.
Honestly,
because
it would be cheaper. It would be less expensive. If that's what it's come to, I wouldn't even go. I would just go, well, I guess it says simulator-based training.
Yeah.
But I would be like, dude, if that's what you want me to do, just give me a dude and sit in the jump seat and we'll go fly around.
I know. It's
the gas. Like on our wholesale gas.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything more because, it doesn't increase the cost on the plane to fly it a few more hours. From a maintenance perspective or anything. It's like let's just go fly around. If you want me to do that, I'll go fly the ILS at Gateway and the Circle at Scottsdale, and like at least it's realistic. Like I did that this week.
I know.
Like,
it was so frustrating.
Dumb.
And the sim centers are stuck because it's a FSDO
now you're getting
thing.
me worked up.
I know. It's a FSDO thing, or POI thing, so that's what they have to do. Now this year, it's
but who's
changed.
POI? You're 91 for that facility.
For that
it must
facility,
be for that
apparently, yeah.
Because I'm saying our training was not like that.
Yeah, I
like
know.
there's
That's
that requirement for the oral or whatever, but it's still a progressive check. There's no like ATP-ish style check ride.
Well,
nonsense.
Now they've got it figured out. So this year it's supposed to be a progressive deal where they like train and check and you bounce back and forth and there's way more time for actual training. So I will report back on how things look. But yeah, last year was, I don't fault the training center, but man, it was
if you have time, I'd really like to see you do a raw data NDB. Just if you have time. Wear your meta glasses so we can see.
Oh, bring the meta glasses and just knock one out.
You can do it on autopilot. Heading select is fine, but
okay, we'll see if there's
overlay.
time.
Not raw data. You can even do. I mean, just like no overlay. Like don't cheat and just fly a GPS NDB approach. Like, see if you still remember how to do it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Show everyone how old you are.
There's some things I'd rather do instead that I feel like might be more valuable.
Like I said, time permitting.
If there's time permitting.
Time permitting.
So I always like to do a low altitude dual engine flame out. I think that's valuable. And I'll tell you what, I've said this before on the show.
And he'll say it again.
I think it's really valuable to get both pilots on the masks and remember how to set up all the communications. Because everybody screws that up.
Dude, that is so, and that's what's interesting about that is I hear our training at Southwest for 2026 has that whole thing. Like they're going to make you put the mask on, establish two-way radio communications, the whole shebang, because it's a mess.
It's a total mess, and everyone go, oh yeah, we'd put the mask on. No one ever puts the mask on. They go, germs or whatever. It's like, no, put the mask on, clean it out beforehand, and let's do it. Because
what's kind of good is like our pre-flight flow.
Yeah.
Like at the airline, is you check the mask microphone. So you go speaker on, oxygen mask to mask, and then you hit the test button. You hear which is cool because I've done that thousands of times at this point.
Yeah, and
so I can do that with my eyes closed.
Good.
I know where the speaker switch is. I know where to go to mask. So that is kind of funny but in the corporate jet, like. Yeah, I was last time in training. We did that because we did the real deal smoke generation, which again, if you have that opportunity to fill the cockpit with the fake smoke, that is such great training because that is a whole nother dimension. But in that, I was like, there's smoke and I'm like looking down at the audio panel.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So
that's where it's.
I don't know if the sim can do the smoke, but if it can.
And you have to figure out because you have to turn the hot mic off.
Yes.
And you have to go to push to talk, figure out where the push to talk on your audio panel is. Which, so anyway.
Yeah, it's a whole deal.
Good luck.
So those are the kinds of things I find value in.
Maybe bring your own smoke generator.
I should. Yeah, I'll just grab the smoke machine and be perfect. It's no problem.
Just tell your boss, what is this smoke machine you bought? This party smoke machine.
This is for your safety, sir.
It's for training, yeah.
This is for you. This is not for me. So yeah, that's
better not. Just get a vape pen if you don't mind.
Yeah, right. Just get an instructor that vapes a lot. This will be fine.
Have you seen that video of where they're skiing somewhere and they're playing like some sort of EDM music and the guy like sketches out a DJ board on the snow
yes, I have.
And then he like and he starts like jamming, and then the guy at the big bass drop, the guy blows a big cloud of smoke from
spectacular.
You could just do that to your co-pilot.
It'll be good. Just
You smell
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. This is delicious.
Like-
Peach flavored.
Yes. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Ask him what flavor he likes. Wouldn't that be? You come back and you whip out a pen. Dylan, when did you start vaping? Training.
Had to.
I got hooked. I don't
know what to do. This is for safety. It's all in the name of safety. Yeah. If you've got a great scenario that you love to do in the sim, shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com. We'll try and incorporate that next time, as long as it doesn't raise Max's blood pressure.
Well, it doesn't take much these days.
The main caveat.
I'm slowly transforming into like the old pilot I used to hate when I was young. Yeah, it just gets too worked up about dumb things.
Okay, well, you know what, Max? Let's transition out of this discussion. We don't even need to train anymore because apparently the airplane can just land itself.
Yeah, tell me what we're talking about. If you've had your head in the sand, like one of our friends seems to constantly have. I gotta tell everyone about that. It's so funny. We have like this group text, and we'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're talking about like the Caribbean airspace." Dylan's like, "Is that affecting anybody?" You know, everybody knows that the Caribbean airspace has been shut down because of the whole Venezuela situation, and consistently, one of our friends is like, "No, what's going on?" And
shout out to Ryan. He's
shout out. What did you say? You said on this episode of.
Well, a couple of years ago, I made this like podcast album art that it was called "The Outside Scoop" with Ryan. Where it was like, because he just never. Good for him. I mean, he's unencumbered by.
What did you say though? What was the quote? On this episode of Outside of the Scoop with Ryan,
something like that. Yeah.
On this week's episode of Outside the Scoop with Ryan, that's what you said?
The Outside Scoop,
yeah. I'm in another text with him too, and he's constantly the same thing.
I love it.
But you kind of have, if you think about it, he's kind of doing what I say. I'm like, just stay out of the fray.
Yeah.
Worry about what you can control.
Exactly.
He's like, ultimately, he
cannot control Venezuela, and I don't think
he is completely tuned out.
I like it.
There's not even any static. It's just the knob is off. It's done.
He's listening to this right now while he's riding his bike going,
I know.
Leave me alone.
You guys, leave me alone.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about the airspace stuff too, but let's get back on track here. All right. You were telling the listeners in case they missed.
Oh, yeah. So there's the King Air that was flying to Aspen, had a depressurization event in the 20s, and they ended up returning to what's it called now? Rocky Mountain Regional, BJC,
yep.
right? In Denver area. And they had activated Garmin, the Autoland on the new Garmin avionics. So it's obviously the newer King Air.
Okay.
No, they had activated.
They activated, or it was activated because of the pressurization?
No, there's no EDM. There's no.
Oh, okay. Because I had read that it was automatically activated. Okay, good.
No. Well, first, we will say a lot of times, like when we talk about events that happen in airplanes, especially crashes, like I find it really important not to speculate on what could have happened. It's more important to talk about, because nowadays there's so much data available so quickly.
Yeah.
Like you can look at it and be like, oh wow, and you can speculate. But I think one, it's really important not to place blame immediately on the pilot, no matter what the data says, because you never know, dude. Like what could happen, and that's always the media and everyone's MO, and especially as pilots, like we all know, you just don't know until you hear the NTSB and hear what was on the cockpit voice recorder and really kind of get an idea of what was going on.
Great example of that is that 604 crash in Florida, where everyone, myself included, thought, somehow there must have been an accidental shut off of both engines somehow. Like how else would two engines flame out, at the same time?
Yeah.
And turns out it's possible.
What?
Oh, did you not follow it? Yeah,
there was that final report. Is that final report out? Oh, what was the deal?
We're so scatterbrained today.
There was
all this corrosion inside of the engine, and they were having like all these hung starts when they were starting like multiple hung starts in a row before you could get this thing started. And yeah, there was some I don't have it in front of me, but like massive issues inside both engines.
So both engines did just fail because they were not maintained well. Okay. Well, anyway, it's important, especially in this incident. There's no preliminary report that comes out in 30 days. There's
Right.
nothing because it didn't crash. It was successful. It landed, and so there's anecdotal evidence, and stuff online that people are saying. And that's what we're going to talk about. Again, it could be completely wrong, but some other King Air pilots too attesting to the procedures and stuff in that airplane. It's actually pretty interesting. So
they did the Autoland. They safely Autolanded. It was just 2 crew on board, no passengers.
The airplane was making the
all
radio
the
transmissions automated.
Yep.
The pilots didn't step in and transmit or anything. They just kind of sat there and watched it go down. The way it appears.
No, that's not true. They were transmitting.
I thought that on the ATC tapes you didn't hear. All I heard was the Garmin one.
All right. Well, I'll let you continue your talk. And
okay. Well, this is good because, like I said, and that's why I prefaced saying like we could be leaving a lot of stuff out. This one's pretty tough to get info on, but I think it's really interesting because this is new technology.
Yeah.
In the last few years that are on some of these lighter aircraft that is really designed initially for like pilot incapacitation, right? Because there's a big button that the passenger can hit,
right?
Especially if you fly with your family, you kind of train up your passengers and say, hey, if something happens to me, hit this button and hold on. But so from in my research, it appears that the checklist drives you if there's a potential. So it's oxygen mask on 100%, establish communication, like every checklist you've ever had for depressurization. But then it says, if you suspect there's a possibility of becoming incapacitated, hit the Autoland button. So I think that they were doing what the QRH indicated, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, what does the QRH say about, like, it says if pilot incapacitation possible or imminent, emergency Autoland button press. And then there's a big bold note that says something to the effect of, if the flight crew is able to continue the flight, the emergency Autoland system may be disengaged at any time by pressing the takeover button on the yoke or the autopilot disconnect. It doesn't say you have to cancel it below 10,000 or whatever. It's up to the crew's judgment. So the whole point, it's a safety net if you're worried about hypoxia or whatever. And these guys, apparently there was 2 pilots, right? And they elected to just let it do its thing. I have a hard time, finding fault letting the automation after an event like that. And you don't know, dude, maybe some dude's eardrum blew out. Maybe he had blood coming out of his eyes. Who knows? I mean, it was a rapid D, it sounds like, but it wasn't like super high. But even so, like if you're shaky, if you're rattled, like maybe you just let it do its thing and you're there and you're conscious and everything's fine, but you just monitor. And if it gets squirrely and the automation isn't working, disconnect it and land. But, I find it hard to, at an initial glance, it seemed very odd that they would be letting, it's not like it's a certified Cat 3C Autoland system, right? It's a for emergencies, but apparently that's what the QRH directed, and I have a hard time finding fault with that decision. After kind of gathering as much information as I could.
I don't think you gathered that much information, dude. Like, did you not? We were talking about this in our group text with people. All the anecdotal information. Like, do you not remember?
Well, that they just let it take over.
No.
Yeah, they let it take over. What do you mean?
Did you read any of the stuff that was online? I mean, this is all anecdotal information.
What did you read?
The pilots were talking. One, they couldn't figure out how to get it off. They couldn't get it disengaged. They were talking to other people on the frequency.
How can you not get it?
They could not get it disengaged.
Did the pilot say this, or people are saying
this
where's
is
that
all
coming
anecdotal information? I don't have a tape of this from
Dude,
ATC.
Okay.
They were talking. They couldn't change the frequency off of guard, so they could only transmit on guard. They were trying to get other people on the frequency to help them try to figure out how to get this thing disengaged, and they couldn't.
Okay. Let's just use basic systems knowledge.
I understand what you're
Garmin
saying.
Specific. Like, dude, when I put a Garmin autopilot in my last airplane, I arranged the autopilot servos to be a specific circuit breaker that I knew right where it was that I could grab. It was the top left one. So there was with my eyes closed, I could have found that. Like, let's just start there. Like, how can you not disengage?
This is the chatter online. Is that it was not as simple as.
So does that make it then an accident or an incident because it involved flight controls? Like, Doesn't that, like, is this going to be investigated by NTSB then? Because that's a problem.
Exactly. I think there's more. To me, when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute. Is there more to the story here? Because something is not adding up. Now, listen, this is only stuff I've seen online, people reporting. Again, the speculation is it's hard for us to speculate here. But yeah, what I read is that there was issues with disengagement. And I agree, because everyone's like, well, why didn't you just push the autopilot disconnect? So I don't know if they were unable to disconnect it. It seems pretty simple. I don't know if there was some issue, another issue arose that maybe they decided that disconnecting it wouldn't be safe. I don't know. I can tell you that there are a lot of comments online with people on discussing this, saying that this was not as cut and dried as they just decided to leave it on.
Well, let me tell you what my friend Grok says. No, that is not true. So I asked, I heard that the pilots were unable to disengage the Autoland. Is that true? No, that is not true. It's a rumor floating around some forums and social media, but all official reports and statements from the operator. Oh, come on. It just like went off my
Wait, are you using Grok Max?
Yeah, I am. This is the official one of the cult that I referenced in our last episode. All reliable sources, including statements from the aircraft operator, Buffalo River Aviation, and Garmin, confirmed that the two pilots were fully alert on oxygen mask and consciously chose to let the Autoland system complete the descent and landing rather than disengaging it. They monitored the entire process and were ready to and able to take over manually if needed. Disengagement is simple and always available. Pressing the autopilot disconnect. Got it. Yeah, we know that. Rumor seems to stem from the initial confusion around the system's automated messages declaring pilot incapacitation, but that was just scripted output. The crew was fine the whole time. The FAA is investigating, but everything points to the system and crew working exactly as designed. Take it for what it's worth, which is, about 2 seconds of me typing it in on Grok, but it was gathering from multiple sources, including X and blah, 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 blah. So that would not be the first time AA has been wrong. So I think we'll have to wait to some more official stuff.
I'm going to tell you what I read.
Here's what I would say. If they were unable to disengage the Autoland system, there would already be some sort of AD or some sort of, pull the circuit breaker for the autopilot, hand fly only, don't use Autoland. There would be something. Like, there's no way if automation takes over the airplane and you're unable to disengage it, that the FAA doesn't step in immediately with an AD. Can we at least agree on this?
If it was a system malfunction, yes. Yeah, I agree, for sure.
So what are you saying it was? What's the other malfunction it could be?
I don't know, man. I'm just saying there is a lot of people who said they overheard conversations on guard with these people, and it is not as straightforward as people are saying. So right, I don't know. I would love to hear from our listeners who maybe someone heard it.
Yeah, maybe if anybody has some more direct, insightful information on
this. Okay. Here is a guy. This is one that I read. Somebody said, I debriefed the pilot post-flight and troubleshot the aircraft. Will not comment on specifics, but I think Garmin needs to teach operators and pilots more about the Autoland system and how to disengage it in the event of a malfunction. This person goes on to say, I will specify this. The pilots did nothing wrong, and neither did the Autoland system. But I do think that the Autoland system was not required after parameters were met due to the lack of training. The decision was to let the Autoland system do its job. So, I don't know.
That seems very
extremely vague.
It seems vague in both directions. It says that it seems to indicate that they couldn't turn it off, but then it also seems to indicate that there was a training problem and they didn't know how to disconnect it, which disconnecting automation is almost the easiest thing.
Very vague.
Airplane.
I don't know.
Very few red buttons. And
I don't know.
Like
maybe
I said,
it's more of a question
of
what happens if we disconnect it. Maybe it wasn't we can't disconnect it. Maybe it's a what happens if we do question. And the determination was
they didn't know.
You know what? We don't know what's going to happen, so let's just let it do its thing. I don't know, man. I'm worried we're getting into a place we don't want to. We just said we didn't want to go to. I don't want to question.
I
I'm
know.
not
Now
questioning the crew. But I just feel like there's more to the story.
All right, that's well said, because it is
Like,
weird.
because
like, it seems at initial glance, it seems weird if you're conscious to let Garmin Autoland
and it's
land the airplane. But there could be reasons that make that a very good decision. Like if you really do have, inner ear problems, you're in pain, you're not 100% there, whatever, right? But if you were forced to let it land, that's a whole another can of worms.
So I'd love to get more in real information here. We're in uncharted territory here. And I think that, like you mentioned, will the NTSB investigate? There was no incident? I feel like there has to be some precedent set here, and we're into a new era of automation that is going to require and unfortunately the thing about aviation is that there's too many scenarios that you can't map out, and so it's like things have to happen and then we have to learn, like, make changes after real world things happen. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of learnings that we're going to have to go through here with this next evolution of the technology that's in the cockpits now.
Yeah, there's always going to be some growing pains, right?
So yeah, I don't know. Again, a lot of this is coming from Facebook comments. So, take from that what you will, take the grok stuff what you will. But I think that,
well, here's what's interesting. We'll just leave it at this, dude. So here's what Garmin said. Garmin can confirm that an emergency Autoland activation occurred at Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport in Broomfield, Colorado. The Autoland took place on Saturday, December 20th, resulting in a successful landing. We look forward to sharing additional details at the appropriate time. So I guess we'll wait till the appropriate time.
As usual. Hey, the technology works. That's the headline, that's kind of the system works.
One
I
of the
think
most important takeaways, right? 20 years ago saying that the King Air would Autoland for you is
pretty impressive. I'm curious, like, how I don't know what Model 200 it was, but like, it can't move the props, right? Dish levers? I don't know.
It must have auto throttle. I don't know.
Anyways, so interesting there.
Was it the same Model 200 you used to fly?
Probably not the 1971 I flew, which is still flying. It's incredible. Okay. So that was our first, we're not going to speculation.
No, it was more of a discussion, dude, but it's just there's so many different spokes on that wheel that, like,
that is a tough one.
It's a tough one. You really threw us in the fire there, Dylan.
So we had a couple other incidents that happened in the last month or two that you had kind of noted that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. So UPS, we haven't even talked about that one. And in Louisville, for Ryan, that's the one that crashed on takeoff that was going to Honolulu, which looks starkly similar to the DC-10 in O'Hare, right? Like from back in the day. And what was that, 90s? But I did, so I always used to, like, kind of had like kind of a bad attitude about the Blanca-Lirio YouTube channel, which is like he's an airline guy. He flies a Carbon Cub, and then I liked him a little bit more. Or no, he flies, I think, actually, he test flew a Carbon Cub. He might have like a Husky or something like that. But either way. And then, but then I started watching his videos, and he does a really good job of doing what we're saying, which is he kind of aggregates all the available data really well, like the weather, the ADS-B track. He imports that and then puts it on Google Earth, and he just gives you a lot of good information that's out there, and he does a pretty good job of non-speculating. I mean, sometimes he'll say like, oh, I saw this and this has happened before, so it could be this. I'm not saying, but he's very clear. He says, I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm not even saying this is what I think happened. I'm saying this is one of the things the NTSB investigators are looking for. And he's also very good about saying, hey, if you have a video or your dash cam on your car or you found a piece of this airplane, make sure you reach out, and he gives the email address for the NTSB. Like, so I think he does a good thing. I'm actually surprised he gets as many YouTube views as he does, because it is pretty in the weeds.
It is what, I was thinking about this last night when we were watching a couple of his videos. It's a great example of why the internet is so great now, because you can be in your niche and you can take those deep dives. And that's the only place you're going to get that info. You can't get that on the news, right? You're not going to get that on CNN watching the crash. It's that high level stuff. And I think they really hit a niche there. Now there's a lot of people that complain about these accident investigation guys, because as soon as a crash happens, they're essentially racing to get a video out, and people say, well, they're monetizing this content, right? So they're essentially profiting off of this accident. And
dude, watch the morning news.
Right. I mean, exactly.
So-and-so shot at this intersection. This baby drowned in a pool today. Like,
I agree with you. I think he does a pretty decent job of delivering, at least the videos I've seen, and I don't watch his channel regularly.
Yeah, I don't watch all of them.
He tries to stick to the facts. And look, I mean, the thing is that as professional pilots, a lot of times these accidents are relevant to you and your operation. And we do need that information disseminated.
Yeah, and he does a good job too, I think, because he does get the video out right away, like pretty quick. Like, but then he does second update and third, like after the NTSB does their whatever, where they talk about what they're up to, and then he'll do that. And so he does do kind of like a multi-series as the initial information over the first probably 7 days comes out, and then he'll go back once the preliminary report is out, and then I think a lot of times he'll come out after the year and a half later.
But he is a polarizing character. So he is a polarizing character.
He does a good job.
We should or at least acknowledge that some people. I get it.
But I also say, I don't want to go online and aggregate all this data myself. So he does a good job of doing that. And it's,
I agree.
And so I give him kudos. But anyway, so the UPS one was interesting because, like the one in Chicago, the engine detached from what appeared to be the aft pylon attachment, right? And the engine comes up and then over.
That was a really cool thing he did on his video. Did you see the one where he spun the bicycle tire? I thought that was a really good illustration, because that did not occur to me. I wasn't thinking, he mentioned, like,
I didn't think about that either.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the photo of the engine coming off, it's going up and then over, right? But either way, like, an engine coming off the airplane is a major problem, right? But assuming the engine just departed the airplane and it's behaving like an engine failure, that's even less drag, right? Like, the airplane should still technically fly. Well, what happened in the Chicago one is that affected the hydraulic system, and they had a slat that retracted, right, on one side, and that's why you got that big roll, and it was uncontrollable. In the initial, the airfield videos, but it appears that the slats remained extended in this case. In UPS's case, which would seem to indicate, they had more controllability. And it didn't look like it rolled. It didn't roll inverted, like it was dragging the gear on that industrial warehouse building and stuff. And obviously they had tons of gas, and they went down. And I don't, like, if they had control, you would think it should be able to fly, unless there was another engine that, if it ate debris or whatever, like, so another engine rolled back. Who knows
could
what
have flatted the other engine.
I'm really interested to see. Yeah, who knows? There's a million things that could happen. Either way, an engine came off the airplane and
at the worst
crashed
possible time in the heaviest possible situation. I mean, like, that was the perfect storm there of bad news.
Yeah, truly.
Did you see what he said? That airplane had over 92,000 hours on it.
Yeah. And like some ungodly amount of cycles. And there was an inspection coming up on that aft pylon attachment in a few thousand more, or like a 1,200 cycles more, or something like that. Not like, I mean, a lot, but percentage wise, I mean, but yeah, those airplanes. Then I went on a whole another rabbit hole. I'm like, why why do the MD-11 DC-10 was not a very successful airplane. So like, why do all these cargo operators? And there's a whole video about that, which we don't have to get into now.
Give me the cliff notes. Well, I don't.
Well, basically, so that size airplane, it wasn't very popular in passenger service, and there was a crash, and so they bought them for very inexpensive, right? And even cargo operators, the economics are a little bit different because they don't fly as many hours a year on those airplanes, right? So the fuel economics and stuff are not as important as the airlines. The acquisition cost is a lot more important, right? Because you're not amortizing it over so much flying over time. So they bought them for cheap. They could afford to burn fuel, and they are the size of that airplane is smaller than a 747 or these big wide bodies. But it has the range to get to a lot of places they need to go. So the size and, as far as like cubic feet of what it can carry and the range of it fits a really good niche that the cargo industry needs that the passenger airlines
don't need.
It wasn't as popular with them. So that's why they've kept them for so long, because again, there's nothing that really replaces that directly very well, besides some other older airplane, so they got them for cheap and they've just been running them, effectively for a very long time. And that's why they even put more money in these avionics upgrades and things like that. And even with the third engine and all that, I guess the economics work in that operation pretty well. But that one, I'm very interested to see what comes out in the final report. I think it's going to be one of those accidents where you have a lot of empathy for the crew.
I already do, yeah.
I don't think that there's much that they could have done. Like it just appears like there was nothing. It was just really bad timing. And, if the engine had just simply failed like it does in the simulator at V1 when you're at max gross takeoff weight, I have a high level of confidence that they would have been able to fly it out. And I think that there's got to be something else that happened that affected the performance, is what it appears, right? Because it did look like they didn't have the performance to climb.
I mean, reading some of the stuff, there was, it's unclear whether the other engines were producing 100% of power or if they were affected from FOD or what. So it's just, to me, it's just one of those, like, I just feel for the crew because it was like they were just handed potentially an unwinnable situation,
dude. And then what happens with that airplane? So it's grounded because of right now, because this is suspected to be that pylon separation, right? But FedEx has said publicly that they're looking to resume operations in March or May of 26. Between there, it says potentially by the end of May. It doesn't look like they're looking to park these airplanes. So obviously you would have to assume that they're going to mandate some sort of aft pylon attachment inspection, right? Or something before they're going to let them fly. But it doesn't appear that it's the end of that type of airplane.
You have to imagine they're already doing that right now, right? Like they're inspecting all those pylons of all the airplanes that are probably sitting.
I don't know.
You'd think. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'll be the curious thing, is like how many more could they find structural issues with other ones that they're looking at. So
because FedEx seems the most committed, like they've already committed to phase out at 2032 prior to this incident. Now, obviously that could all change, but the FAA has to come out with some sort of approved inspection to have them regain airworthiness. And it's interesting. I always look around when I fly, see how many of these airplanes are parked. Like there's one.
Do you see one? Have you seen any? I haven't looked.
Oh yeah, there's one. There's a UPS one that's pretty pickled with all the engine plugs in, the landing gear covered, the windows.
Right, because it's wherever it was, that's where it has to be.
Yeah, that's where it sits. I've seen them all. I see them all over the place. Yeah, and the FedEx ones too. It's kind of like my thing now. When I fly, I try and look to see if there's any sitting around.
Wow.
But yeah.
Well, that is one where you just feel for the crew. That is
I can't imagine a worse feeling in life of having an airplane crashing and there's nothing.
And then I mean it was so quick too. It was like we rotated, and then how long were they in the air? 30 seconds. I mean, it wasn't long.
Yeah, that one scares me. Like just to watch the video, I'm like, oh, that would be terrible.
Ooh.
So when that comes out with some definitive information in probably a year and a half, because everything that's out is out. Like now you got to wait for the NTSB. So, and then the last one is the Greg Biffle crash, right? Of that 500 series citation in over by North Carolina. That one was, I learned a lot about that one too, watching our boy Belunca Lirio's YouTube videos.
Rate, review, subscribe, hit that alert button, bell notification.
Yeah, maybe we have to have him on sometime. Old Juan Brown. But anyway, so that one, they took off.
Yep.
And it looks like their climb was sort of erratic. Like the airspeed and the climb rates were changing. Like something happened, right? And he came back around and on a kind of a strange pattern. Like he was doing an emergency return, like an urgent emergency return. Now it was uncontrolled airport. He took off. The weather was marginal VFR, and he was trying to get it back to the airport quick. And I was like, I could see maybe like, even if it was just like an engine failure or something, like a less experienced or less pilot that hadn't been through a real regimented training, like that maybe he was trying to just, instead of going out, taking it out, cleaning it up, running the checklist, talking to ATC, getting a proper, there was an ILS back to that airport. Like, I think that if that were the case, if it was an engine failure and the proper thing to do would, and you had climb performance, right? Which you assume he did because he would have done performance and everything, that you go out, you take your time, come back in for a real deal approach, fly, stabilize, approach, and land. And that's not what it looked like he was doing. And I can see, maybe he panicked. I don't know. Who knows? Or it was something more urgent, right? Like something was on fire or there was smoke in the cab. Something more urgent.
I was going to say, yeah.
Well, and then he said the guy flying it in the left, assumably in the left seat, there was two pilots. One is a retired Delta captain, and also the other pilot was his like grandson or something that was at Auburn. Learning, he had some certificates, but not all of them. And I'm like, wow, like a longtime airline guy, like that's driven into you pretty hard, like,
right?
To go. I mean, you get anything. You go around, you go out, you run the checklist, you call, use all your resources, yada yada yada. I mean, that's just what you're trained to do, and that's why. And then I was like, wow, that would be really unusual if it was just a typical
run of the mill engine failure
problem. That's or anything else that's relatively that you can deal with. That it wasn't imminent that you get on the ground. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we watched the same stuff, but
well. Hold on. I guess we left out the part real quick. He came around, did this kind of funky pattern, and got really low and hit the ground prior to the runway. He was lined up for the runway, but he was way too low and hit the ground, hit like the approach lighting system, and they came to rest on the runway. But I guess for people that didn't see that, it's important to know he did make it back to the airport. He just hit the ground like 1,300 feet prior to the threshold.
Looking at the ground track, it did, Juan Brown is like, hey, was he trying to actually land on the other runway and then trying to keep it in visual? And then maybe had to abandon that approach and then try and, do basically enter a downwind and then keep it close. And so, was there smoke in the cockpit so you couldn't see much? That changes a lot of what you could maybe assume, your assumptions there. And the urgency to get it on the ground. But yeah, I think they did the base turn at like 106 knots or something. So already pretty slow. And then one other thing that was interesting, I've been flying been flying citations a little bit, and they've got those nose baggage doors. And it's a big thing, make sure that thing is locked every time. Anytime you open it, close it and lock it. And Juan Brown was talking about it. He goes, hey, I'll be curious to see the one of the nose baggage doors was missing in the crash. Now, obviously, that's not, impossible to know.
Could have come off at any time, right?
But, it wouldn't be the first time that the door has popped open and something has flown back into an engine. Some cargo. So I don't know. that was a topic that he brought up in a way that wasn't saying this is what I think it is, but like,
well, as he said,
this
is something the NTSB investigators will be looking at. I mean, that there's precedent for that too.
So
that will be, and the good news on this one is that the Part 91 500 series citation is not required to have a cockpit voice recorder nor a flight data recorder. This one, having previously operated on 135, did have a CVR, and especially, it'd be interesting if it was single pilot. I don't know how useful that would be. Like, because how much are you talking if it's single pilot, right? Like maybe to the passengers on, hey, we're going back. We had this happen,
right?
But the fact that there's another pilot, I think, will lend a lot more information as to what's going on because you have to communicate, right?
One would hope. Yeah.
So
please get me that check. Quick, get this checklist, or let's do this. Or
this is another one where
I can't breathe. Like
just looking at the ADSB data, I just get the gut feeling like something was really wrong here with this airplane. Like this was a real, like
there was a challenge to control that airplane. Is what it looked like.
He wanted to get back and get that thing on the ground. He didn't think he was going to be able to fly it out and run checklists and burn fuel, whatever. I don't think there was the priority. It appeared was to get on the ground as soon as possible. That's just a feeling I get looking at altitudes and airspeeds and ground track, which is not a ton of data, admittedly.
Yep. And again, going back to how we started the show, when you're in the sim, it's a good time to practice. Like, let's get this airplane on the ground as quickly as possible. What does that look like? Because there is a time when that is the priority. And it's something we can't simulate. If your toes are burning up, if you can't breathe, that's the stuff that's really hard to simulate. And it's very hard to get a rep doing that. But when that is your motivation, get this thing on the ground. Oh, and by the way, the weather sucks too.
And you, like, to your point, you like to practice a dual engine failure, right? Well, guess what the quickest way to get an airplane on the ground is? Pull the thrust levers to idle and dirty it up as appropriate and get it on the ground. And most importantly,
on the ground. Not
freak out and overshoot and end up overrunning the runway, or, because I've seen that too, where people, because you don't practice that, right? We all subscribe to the stabilized approach criteria, and we're all fully configured way out, but you don't ever, pull the thrust to idle on the downwind and figure it out. And obviously, with a full load of passengers back is not the time to do that. But the simulator is a really great time to do that.
And the other thing with the sim, dual engine failure, you always practice. Smoke in the cockpit, you always practice. VMC, it seems like. Usually seems like that's VMC in the sim. Okay, now the weather's bad. You have to get this airplane on the ground, but you're also going to have to do some type of approach, something.
Or it's a 2,000-foot ceiling.
Yeah.
Do you have time to go do an approach and set up for the ILS, or do you want to rip it around at 1,500 feet and, get it done? Because that's a visual pattern. I mean, you can do that safely, right?
Yeah.
Assuming you hadn't already climbed into the clouds.
Yeah. Again, and that's where, again, like, we can't, to speculate on the millions of different scenarios of what we can't know right now. But I think if you can discuss this with people and think, what are some things that I can incorporate in that may, make our operation safer? I think that's the value of going through these accidents. So it's awful. We hate to see any of these crashes.
Yeah, these ones are just really all ambiguous. I feel like
ambiguous. Yep.
And I'm really so. Now that we said that, we'll have to make a commitment to follow up on this when the ambiguity is cleared by the NTSB. So hurry up and wait for about a year to a year and a half.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up. I tend to, when I see crashes, we discuss them, but I tend not to think about them for the show just because I don't. Yeah. It's hard to not, but I'm glad that we did discuss these.
I used to think that too, and we used to kind of avoid it. And I think that it's important though, because, our audience, we're talking to professional aviators, right? And I think when some jabroni on the internet that is not a pilot is like, oh, the pilot's definitely lost control. Like, that just pisses me off to no end, right? But I think if you look at it objectively with the information that's available, because everybody is doing that. Like, you can't just turn a blind eye and say, oh, bury your head in the sand. Like, everyone's looking at what information is available currently. But again, we've already beat the horse to death about being very careful to speculate. But there's going to be speculation in there, like, right? Because you're looking at the data, trying to put a puzzle together that you only have 30% of the pieces right now, and it's pretty hard to see what the whole puzzle looks like when you don't have all the pieces. But you can get a start, right? And seeing things to think about, and maybe if you fly a 500 series citation, be like, yeah, I need to make sure I check those baggage doors, or it's just.
Where are my smoke goggles? Like, just some of those.
Who knows? Things to think about. But
how do I load? And
that's the most important thing we can do, though, I think, as aviators, is to honor the aviators that didn't make it through these, is to learn from what there is to learn. Take the time to actually look at it objectively and try and learn something from it. So maybe it will help somebody someday.
100%. Well said. All right. That'll wrap up that segment.
Oh, yeah?
Of
We're out
the
of time?
discussion, Max.
Is the producer knocking on the door? We can't.
No, we just got a lot to get
I'm
to.
just kidding.
I was, let's see here. Lots more to talk about. We kind of talked about the airspace shutdown in the Caribbean at, I would say, the worst possible weekend, where everyone is down in the islands and, right after New Year's wanting to come home. That was just getting those emails. I was just like, oh my God, we really dodged a bullet there. But think about how many airplanes were out of position to then, we got to get to Aspen. We got to get to Rifle.
Dude.
We got to get to,
Well, the other thing too, just to give you an idea of how busy it is down there, before all this happened, didn't you got that thing from NBAA that says that St. Martin was shut down, no more GA arrivals because they had 0 ramp space left. And if you've been there, like, there's multiple ramps there. Like, they can pack a decent amount of airplanes at that airport because there's like a ramp on the other side of the runway they pack airplanes in.
Yeah, dude.
And I hadn't seen that one in a while.
I've seen that one a couple times. I've gotten the emails that they run out of fuel sometimes. Like, I mean, there's a lot going on down there, and this is their biggest week of the year. Just insane. So I feel for all the folks that were. I mean, I saw a ton of posts on Facebook. We're stuck here for another day. We can't get a hotel. Like, we can't do anything. Like, that just would have been tough. And can you just being a charter client would just been a nightmare if your plane's stuck somewhere else, and just this whole thing just kind of erupts out of nowhere. And from what I understand, the airspace is open, but they're cautioning there could be more military activity. So the exodus coming out of there must be insane, of all the airplanes trying to launch. We were just down in Mexico, so it was a little bit more civilized, but I did run into an interesting thing. We had to clear at San Diego Brown. Have you ever cleared at Brown?
Yes, very recently.
So I want to give them a shout out. You can now request landing rights via email.
Oh yeah, I did the whole thing via email. It's good system
too. Spectacular. Oh, love that.
They got a good form email response too. That's very clear. It's hard to screw up.
So nice. And then everything's it's all approved, and versus some other airports I will not name, where you have to, try and get someone to answer the phone, and it can be more of a challenge. And then, it's a he said, she said of, oh yeah, of course we got landing rights. Yeah.
Well, and if you go to Brown too, if you even in ForeFlight, you go to the airport and the customs info, they have a link to a PDF that tells you all exactly how to do it via this method, which is quite helpful. That's it seems like we're getting more modern. You would think there'd be some sort of
make everybody's
form,
life easier.
That tells you what the information, because now they send you a thing, they say, okay, send us an email.
Yeah.
Here's all the information we need. The next evolution is where they have a form, you go on the internet and fill it in, so it requests the information you need. But we'll get there one day.
Or maybe just takes the information from the APIS. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know if customs is privy to that information that you entered 9 times for everybody. But hey, listen,
it was a step in the right direction. I won't get into the entire CDC requirements for bringing animals in. That's a whole separate.
Dude, Mexico too has gotten awful proud in the last few years. You used to be able to just show up down there and no matter what, with a couple $100, you were good to go. Like, it didn't matter. And like, oh, we need to obtain your permit from Mexico City. It could take anywhere from 20 minutes to
Love
9
that
hours.
one.
Like, it's just, I'm so tired of it. Like, who, and they jack you now on the fees, and you're like, guys, this is still Mexico. Like, you still can't drink the water here. So don't be charging me all these fees, and like, it's just unbelievable. Like,
it's definitely they've got it
them.
down to a science there. And yeah, this new the problem, the disconnect of like, oh, the APIS has to be sent, what is it, within an hour of departure, and then it's guys,
I know, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's just a spreadsheet you mail off into the universe. It's all it is just rope to hang yourself later if there's a problem, and they can go, see, like
totally. I drove into Mexico like last year. Guess what?
Yeah.
Still don't care. You just drive right in. Like it.
Yeah.
But oh God, you want to fly in? You got to get your permit from Mexico City.
Yeah, it's a little obnoxious, but listen, we overcame all the challenges, and it's good. All right, more to get to here, Max. Quick promo. We have just about got the Chicago Layover Guide ready to publish. Got a lot on there. We had talked about Tonta and some of the other things. If you've got any last minute submissions, shoot them over info@215podcast.com because we're going to get ready to publish that one here in the coming days.
Let's go.
All right. On to the reviews, comments, etc. So much. We went to YouTube for this today too. Some fun YouTube comments. I'll let you read the first one, and then we'll continue on.
All right. First one was titled OG Listener. So I've been listening since day one. You two have a fantastic product that covers every facet of professional aviation, and it keeps getting better, both in production and content. Keep up the awesome content. P.S. Max's musings are effing gold. C5 Pete. I've seen his name a bunch of times.
Of course.
That's
Pete.
funny. God,
one of our favorites.
My musings are embarrassing.
They're good.
I'm glad C5 Pete appreciate though.
Yeah. All right. Now we went to YouTube. I do this about once a month. I go over there. There's so many comments. I am sorry. We're not great at like going on YouTube and replying to all the comments. I tried to reply to a few of them. Here was a few that I picked. First one, the most important. This is from Life in Legendary Mode. Gave me a disc golf tip. Saying when you backhand, turn your head all the way back as you reach back. It will open more rotation for you, and you'll get more distance over time.
I was wondering what he was talking about. I'm like, was there a video of you smacking your co-pilot or something? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Your backhand, really get your hips into it.
Yeah. Got a few disc golf tips. We actually played in San Diego yesterday. Or a couple days ago. It was super fun.
Oh, that's crazy. So did I.
Yeah. Shut up. All right. Next one. Go ahead.
Travis Boren says, quote, seniority is everything at the airlines, but seniority isn't everything in life. Good perspective that hits with me. Was that an original
quote? Did you say that, or did James say that, or did you say that?
I think I might have said that, but I may have.
I think you said that.
I may have stolen that from somewhere. I can't claim. I'm not sure if that was an original thought or not, but it may have been. I don't remember. But either way, it is good perspective, I think.
Yes. Next one's from Aviator. It says, how do we get our hands on the rap music in your videos? These are awesome. Y'all should sell these on Spotify.
Should we create it?
I guess we could create a Spotify playlist of the rap.
Can you do that? Because wouldn't we have to be the artists? Maybe
yeah,
really
but we already have.
I mean,
we're already the artists on Spotify because we publish all our podcasts. So I wonder if a podcast can just put
a track on there.
That'd be funny. Wouldn't it be funny if we could monetize those rap? We make more money than anything else.
Our AI rap
podcast is okay, but it's really just a vehicle for our AI
rap. Our mid 2000s rap.
Yeah, that's the real hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last email is regarding something, if you're new here, you may not be aware of, and that is the Luggage review series that Max and I did. I think it's almost a couple years ago.
Barefoot Luggage review series.
One of us was not wearing shoes during the review. A lot of video content there of some people's toes. We're not going to name any names. You're going to have to go watch the Luggage reviews to know what we're talking about. But we reviewed a lot of popular pilot bags. We'll have a link in the show notes for that if you are not familiar with that YouTube series. And the comment goes on to say, user of the Aurora, which is one of the bags we reviewed, that's from Luggage Works. He says, used it for 2 years and must say a perfect luggage for pilots. You're carrying 3 or 4 bags with only one hand, and I can still use my phone with the other. Glad Luggage Works has it. That was the one that we both thought bang for the buck was the best bang for the buck, but didn't love the way it looked. Do you still have it?
Yeah, it's a ruggedized flight attendant bag, essentially, is what I think. I don't know if that's offensive, but I don't really care. That's what it comes to mind. But it sounds like the steel J hook and everything. But I'll tell you what, dude, you can fit a lot of stuff in that thing.
Yes.
Like when I need to pack a rollerboard with as much as possible, that's the one I take.
That's your go-to.
Which is typically just for personal use because I'm being cheap and not wanting to check a bag, but or non-revving and want to have my stuff with me. But that's the move for maximum storage.
And it was
like $200 something. Yeah, it's
less. Yeah,
yeah. That thing is high value.
Yeah. Good comments from everyone on YouTube. Thanks for the reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you dropped us a review, shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com. We'll be happy to shoot you some stickers as a thank you. It can be good, a positive or a negative review too. We've had some negative reviews. We like to read those. We'll read those on the air and take them to heart.
We'll take them like men.
Someone commented, said we did too much career advice stuff, and we agreed, and we were able to change course a little bit. So we appreciate all of that input. Next, Max, is the mailbag, which is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Advanced Aircrew Academy. I do not have Reggie. Well, let's see. I don't think I have Reggie available today, so you're going to have to read this in the Reggie voice for me.
This episode is brought to you by Advanced Aircrew Academy, the online training that respects the fact that you already know how to fly an airplane. Their courses are built for professional crews, not checkbox collectors. Real-world scenarios, clean visuals, and explanations that actually match what happens at Flight Level 410, not what happened in 1987 in a Cessna. Whether it's performance, human factors, or regulatory refreshers, the material is concise, relevant, and mercifully free of fluff. And for the flight department managers, this is where it really shines. Simple tracking, instant proof of compliance, and no more chasing pilots who swear they already took that course. Train smarter, stay current, and get back to flying. Check out Advanced Aircrew Academy, professional training for professional crews.
Well done. It's really incredible. You have a real gift there.
It's really the long pauses that are just a little bit longer than you normally would. And it's just really, it's the art of it. I got to tell you,
it's an incredible art. Well, thank you to Advanced Aircrew Academy for sponsoring the mailbag for all of these years. A full mailbag to get to today. Aircrewacademy.com is the website. Link is in the show notes. Email number 1 says, "Hey, Dylan and Max, I've been a listener for many since I think like 2018. Wow. I think that's good because we started the show in 2019. So he must have been listening to our real early stuff. He was just listening in on our conversations.
Yeah, he
Max.
just listened to us at the
our
FBO
phone calls. He tapped
on the rare times we play.
These guys should start a podcast.
He was at one of our local pilot happy hours.
Like, these guys are really going somewhere. Someday they'll be making rap songs. All right. It says, we have a ton of private jet traffic here in the summer at Coeur d'Alene, with many wealthy people coming into Coeur d'Alene and going to Gaza Ranch. As a local, I would be happy to comment on a layover guide for here. I have a Cessna 210 hangared at Coeur d'Alene. Always love your guys' content and banter. And it's cheers from Michael. Oh, Michael. I know all about Coeur d'Alene. I used to fly for a family that had a place up there.
I've also
all
been to
summer
Coeur d'Alene.
long. Coeur d'Alene, great in the summer. Coeur d'Alene Airport in the summer.
Not so great.
Not
Coeur d'Alene
my favorite.
Does slap in the summer, though.
It is a great
fun
place.
There is a vibe.
Hate flying into that airport.
It's even better when there's a fire around, too. That's
when there's a fire, usually there's a temporary control tower, so that's better. But yeah, every once in a while, there's the tankers going. You have GA going on the smaller offset runway, and then you got the jets coming in. There's an approach on one way, but that one isn't the prevailing wind runway. So then anyone doing a visual is landing one way. You got the guys on an instrument approach landing the other way. And then the GA guys on a completely different pattern on a different runway that's offset. And then some people are in bush planes with no radios. It is...
It sounds a lot like McCall, too, in the summertime.
And you've got this little bowl to do this tight visual with the wind that's setting you up for an overshoot into the mountains.
Best is when the fire, too, because you have all the firefighting activity plus the limited visibility and all the smoke in the valley and the TFRs. It's just a real goat road. I don't know how you fly Cub around there without like advanced avionics, nowadays.
Yeah, you can miss me with that Coeur d'Alene in the summer. Great place once you're on the ground. Love it on the ground. I will have a lot to add to the layover guide that we create. Great idea, Michael. Let's create it. Next time I'm in there, I'm going for riding your 210 up to Sandpoint or something. I don't know. We'll have to go somewhere cool. All right. Next one. This is exciting. This is the kind of content we've been looking for, Max. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Listening to this episode while driving today, and your discussion about what is the acceptable amount of time before requiring a bathroom break gave me a flashback to one of my most embarrassing moments as a business aviation pilot. I'll set the scene. It was about fall time here in Quincy, Illinois. We had been there for 3 nights while we did a trip for one of the owner's friends and his family. The morning of our return trip, Quincy back to California, the captain and I decided to go to a local diner for breakfast on our way to the airport. I had what should be considered a safe option for a meal, a Denver omelet. A little foreshadowing here, it was not a safe option. I saw that coming. With the winds that day, we were expecting about 4 hours of flight time. About 30 minutes into the flight, I got what is best described as a diarrhea-induced panic attack. Oh my God. This is every pilot's worst nightmare. Here we are, step climbing through the flight levels, and he wasn't even leveled off yet. I'm fighting for my life to spare the sheepskin seat from an irreversible staining event. I looked at the captain with fear in my eyes and told him about the mud water inside of me about to burst through the dam that is my sphincter. I looked at the captain and said, my apologies, and gave him my temporary goodbyes. I left my seat and headed towards the lab. As a sidebar, I failed to understand why corporate aircraft had the lab in the aft of the aircraft and the outflow valve near the cockpit. Again, more foreshadowing. As I pass the passengers, I don't even bother to make eye contact. I briskly walk towards the lab to complete my unholy deed. I was in the lab for an uncomfortable amount of time where it was clear what I was up to. The smell confirmed it as well. As I emerged from the lab, and the look on my wife's face when I emerged.
The wife's face. I don't think it was his
the wife. No, you're right. The wife's face was a permanent scowl. Little did she know that this would happen 2 more times throughout the flight. Oh my God. When we landed in California, there were no thank yous, no handshakes, no goodbyes, just laughter from the husband when he walked past me, scowls from the wife, and then there was just me. Head hung in shame from what I had just subjected everyone on board for the last 4 hours. There's a lesson to this tale. I'd provide one, but what I do know is this. I'll never have another Denver omelet for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Keep up the good work, boys. Keep the dirty side down. And if you choose to read this on the show, my dignity and shame is non-existent. Choice to leave me in anonymity is yours, H.
Wow.
There's so many more questions, though. Was it a vacuum toilet or was it a recirculating toilet?
Yeah, it was definitely a
vacuum toilet. You could have some strategy there.
No, it was a recirculating toilet for sure. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, and the type of airplane would have been
is big enough to walk back into an aft lav. But I mean,
the beach jet you could walk back into an aft lav, and that's just the honeypot.
That's a honeypot. It could have been
also with the forward outflow valve. So who knows? But yeah, that I remember one of our good friends from college.
He told the story on the show.
Oh well, there you go.
At the airlines,
yeah, during spring break and RJ.
Yeah. At least an airline. Well, I will say, at least in this guy's situation, it wasn't the owner; it was the owner's friend.
Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, I mean, this is like, what are you going to do? This is just part of this is, the rub. In golf, we call it the rub of the green. It's just, that's showbiz.
Listen.
Good for you, Henry, to be able to process that and move on.
It's good. Hopefully that story will help people in the future.
Delete his name. Wasn't supposed to say that.
He said it was okay.
Good for you, H.
He's his dignity and shame is non-existent. Yeah. You can leave it. There's a lot of Henrys.
Next email says, "Hey, Dylan and Max, I recently discovered the podcast and it's now my favorite commute and walk activity. You guys help me stay motivated during the endless wait for my SkyWest class date. I just listened back to episode 157 and caught a snippet where you're discussing aviation influencers and mentioned that Pilot Pete was on The Bachelor. That's actually a different Pilot Pete than the FedEx guy. His name is Peter Weber. Anyway, the Piper Apache that he flies in that episode of The Bachelor is based in Camarillo, California, and I got to know its owner while flying there and got to fly the Apache a few times. What a small world. Thanks for all you do." And that's from Josh. All right, the record has been set straight, Max.
Thank God. We really do need to keep these.
Got it.
Pilot
A
influencers
big,
straight.
you know what we need is like a big, like the FBI, or the serial killer thing
like a
with
Matrix.
the string linking one guy to the next. This guy speculated on a crash. This guy was
Now,
on
how
The
many
Bachelor.
of these guys have worked out shirtless and posted?
This guy
while
pumps
on an overnight?
weights on a outdoor gym. Yeah.
Being an airline pilot is the best decision I ever made. You seen that? I'm just like, get out of here, dude. Anyway. On a recent red eye, while solving all of the mistakes our brave and valiant management team, the topic of switching airlines came up. We each recounted stories of guys such as one pilot who left AA after more than a decade and a half for FedEx in 2022.
Ooh.
Oops. But I also fly with several captains I refer to as the Alaska refugees, which are ecstatic to be where they are now, even though it almost certainly cost a pretty penny financially. Would be interesting to hear your take on this, guys, and trying to do my part to keep flight advice out of the mailbag. LOL. Keith.
Well, I think that switching, there's something called the sunk cost fallacy, which is like, oh, I've spent this much money. I guess I better keep going. Which it's like, no, you need to cut this off.
Yeah.
We've talked about this with James before, like a lot of the people at Spirit were in a situation like that where it's like, well, I'm 3 years in, so I can't give up all that seniority to switch to somewhere else. It's the downside of the seniority system is that you have to sometimes give up your position on a list to get into a better situation. And it cuts both ways. And that's the challenge in our business is that it's sometimes very difficult to predict the future. Especially the FedEx thing. Like you'd think, oh man, these guys are at the top of the industry. They're getting paid, higher than anybody else. Like this is a no-brainer. We'll go here. And then something happens in that industry that really slows things down. So it is tough. I think that there are really great reasons to leave an airline and get off a seniority list, and there are really bad reasons to get off a seniority list and go somewhere else. Here's an example of what I think is a bad reason to leave. Other company is paying more money. I should go there to make more money.
Yeah, that's, it's all a gamble, dude.
Yeah.
We've always said this, your success in a seniority based career, an airline career, is so timing based. So much of it's timing, like that is completely out of your control. And that's the same when you're evaluating what your first airline to go to, or if you're evaluating leaving another airline. Like the timing is just, it's so random, it's so unpredictable, and all you can do is make the best decision with the current information that's available, and you cross your fingers for the rest.
Yeah.
And that's the same as like one of my good buddies from initial training at Southwest was talking about, after I think, we were hiring tons when we got hired, and then it dropped off, right? And then the upgrade stretched out, and then he's like, he got an interview from FedEx. He's like, I'm really thinking about going to FedEx, blah, blah. And he was all about it. And then like, for some reason he didn't. And it ended up being a great decision not to go because of what you just mentioned. And most times I talk to him, I still twist the knife a little bit on that one. Say, should have gone to FedEx.
FedEx, bro.
Should have gone to FedEx, man. Think about what you could be doing now.
I mean,
He's like, so lucky.
I mean, yeah.
So
money
you just
and
never know.
Quote, they're upgrading quick. Those are things.
But I'll tell you what, if you are going to leave and you're stuck in the perpetuity of commuting because the airline you have has no base where you live, and you're going to leave and give up some seniority, which equates to quality of life and money, but you're going to move somewhere in base, I tell you, that will hedge your bet quite a bit.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Because at least you get a massive quality of life increase overall, and even on reserve or whatever.
Yes.
Like, it's still driving to the airport is just so liberating when you haven't even had the not even the opportunity, not even the possibility of doing that previously.
1,000%.
So I think I would.
That's what. Yeah, I was just going to say,
at least,
a good reason
again,
to leave: go to a carrier in the city you live in, like, or you want to live in. Like, that to me, like, that pencils.
It's kind of funny, like, when you look at these bases, like, so many bases are in so many places I personally would not want to live. Like, that's the one thing, at least at Southwest, like, I could wrap my head around living in Nashville if I had to, and we just opened Austin too.
Yeah.
Like, I could wrap my head around living there. Like, but just personally, like, I'm a West Coast guy. Like, I would have a hard time living in Atlanta or Detroit, Minneapolis.
I feel like you could make Minneapolis work.
New York,
I could see you with a float plane.
Miami.
You're out fishing for walleye, going after muskie in the Cub. You could find a way. No. Okay.
There's too many bugs in the summer. I mean, yeah. Listen, you could figure it out. I'm just saying it would be tough. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad I get to work and live somewhere I actually want to live too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's a very fortunate thing, I think, when you're an airline pilot.
But yeah, that's the struggle of this job. The seniority based stuff, that is the downside. It does, there is an investment of time.
I think we always say that, and it's because it's easy for me to say because I happen to have an airline base where I actually want to live.
Yeah.
Or I was like, oh, move to base. It's so much better, and it is. But like, if you commute to somewhere you really want to live, and then, or you could live in base somewhere you don't really want to live, like that's a really tough call. Like, I think
we had a listener write in. I mean, and he said, "Hey, look, I live somewhere. It's way cheaper. Yeah. I'm getting paid to commute essentially because I don't have to." And that's fine if you enjoy the commute, or you're living where you want to live. It's great. I just, my point was not that. It was that leaving an airline with time spent on the seniority list to get to somewhere to live in base, to me, that's a worthwhile endeavor versus sure. Oh, I'm going to leave here because they're paying $7 more an hour on the, the 320, which is what I fly. And that's, I want to be the highest paid. Like, yeah, that makes me a little nervous because contracts come and go. Anyways.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I think it's just a really fortunate thing if you find yourself living where your number one choice is to live and you have a base there. That's why the NetJets deal is so great or whatever, because there's a lot more options. But anyway.
100%. Last email's from JP down in Brazil. I think this will be an interesting one here. It says, "Hey, Max and Dylan, I'm a 25-year-old that recently joined a big airline here in Brazil. During my ground school, I've been hopping on the jump seat to learn the 737 normal procedures and airline operations that we are required to do. During all of these flights, I've only encountered friendly captains, some more outgoing than others, and some that prefer to stay quiet, but all of these were willing to answer my questions on the spot. On my last flight, the captain was an instructor, and the student was close to this route check ride. The captain was quiet when I asked to go on the jump seat. But agreed. And then things started to happen. I'm not experienced. I haven't touched the sim yet, but from my studies and virtual flights, I know a couple of things were wrong when the FO did them or said them, but I know it's not my place to correct him. What surprised me the most was the instructor's reaction. He berated the FO on some mistakes, and it honestly surprised me. As I said, some mistakes I knew happened, like starting the engine. The FO turned off the packs and went straight to the start lever instead of the start switch. The captain called him an idiot and corrected. The FO looked at me and said he never made that mistake before. To get to the point, I'm a guy that's extremely hardworking, but if I was berated like that, I feel like it would lead to more and more mistakes. Throughout my student pilot days, I got my share of criticism, but it always in a correct manner and only made me a better pilot. When my time comes to jump on the right seat, if my instructor is one of these guys, what are some tips you guys have to deal with them? I hope to get a guy that pushes me to understand my mistakes and how to correct them. Anyway, thanks for the amazing content you guys push out. Been a blast listening to them as I drive to the flight school and now on my ground school for the 737. Happy holidays and love from Brazil. And that's JP.
Well, you are going to find you'll encounter good instructors and bad instructors, and you're going to encounter good captains and bad captains, and ultimately some good FOs and bad FOs. And you got to learn to roll with it, and you got to learn to let stuff go, because this just all there is to it. Like, not every instructor is great, and some people, and this was a lot more common a long time ago, I feel like.
Yes.
And it's gotten a lot better, so that's the good news. But yeah, you are going to have people that hurt your feelings sometimes, or a little abrasive, and especially when you're new and things like that. And most of the time, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, turns the packs off at the wrong time. Dude, on IOE, I freaking shut the APU down before clicking on the engine generators and made the airplane go dark with the engines running. And my instructor was awesome, because he just laughed. He goes, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? I turn him back on. And he goes, I guess we're about to find out. Drop the generators on. Everything powers up. The Avon, you just got to give it all time to figure it out. And he just laughed. I mean, and he was cool. He's just like, it's no big deal. And some people will be like, you idiot, what did you do? Blah, blah. At the end of the day, you just got to learn from it and move on. And, but yeah, you do have to, your career will be much easier for you if you can allow some stuff to just roll off your shoulders.
It's tough, dude. I had an instructor. My first instructor at American Eagle was like this. The guy would yell at you. He would actually hit us. Like, if you screwed something up, he'd be in the back and he'd like whack your shoulder and be like, no, that's wrong. And it was hard, especially because that was my first time and I didn't know that this was, I'm like, this is how this is. Like,
yeah,
this
but
is
that
insane.
dude was instructing 500-hour pilots in their first jet.
Exactly.
Constantly.
In a complicated turboprop. I would argue the Saab 340 was the hardest airplane I've ever flown, from a systems and operation standpoint. And yeah, but he was a cranky old dude, and it is easy to shut down. And I'll tell you, just as my observation, coaching youth baseball, it's the same thing. The parents that are constantly yelling at their kids about what they're doing wrong and what they need to do, like, after a while, kids tune it out. And they get overwhelmed and they tune it out. And I've seen the same thing happen in the cockpit. Unfortunately, it is true. There will be instructors and there will be captains that will do that. And it is easy to tune it out, and it can just snowball into something really bad. Unfortunately, all you can handle is how you respond to that criticism. And that is really tough. So, I wish I had a specific technique to give you personally to be able to move on it. Maybe you can make a joke out of it and try and laugh.
Well, usually that's kind of my response a lot of times when somebody is like being ridiculous, because that's essentially what they're being, is they're being irrational and ridiculous. It's just to laugh at them.
Yeah.
Because then you're just like, what? Like really?
Yeah.
Like that. That's where we're at.
I will say a couple things. I don't know the Brazilian culture as well. And also, instructors have a lot of power over you, especially when you're a new hire and on probation. And I don't know, especially international, where it's probably really hard to get a job and there's not a lot of options. So cooperate and graduate may be part of it. If your instructor's like signing you off for IOE, I'm not saying you should start laughing at him when he starts yelling at you, but maybe it's internal. But yeah, it's unfortunately the way I'll tell you, it's way better now than it used to be. And I think you're going to make it through it, but this could be part of it.
It's good that you're thinking about it now before it happens and you're like in this awkward position.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of have your own plan and figure out, and just realize most of the time you just got to take a deep breath and just.
But
let
I will
it roll
tell you,
off
man,
your
bad
shoulders
instructors,
and move
I
on.
see it spiral. They'll start yelling at a guy for one thing, and then that goes into another, and then it's this like self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've been in the sim with guys,
dude. It's the same.
I've watched
That's a human nature thing.
Yeah.
Just like with golf
Yep.
or anything.
Yep.
When you hit a bad shot and it gets in your head, and then you can't move on and move past it, and that's the same mentality. Like, you just have to be able to let what just happened go and move on, and not let it affect the next chapter. So.
Easy to say, hard to do.
Good luck, Airman.
Great email, JP. Good luck in your 737 training. Keep us posted on how it goes. Sounds like you're on the right track. Okay, that is going to do it for the mailbag, Max. Certainly appreciate everyone who wrote in And love getting the feedback and ideas from you guys. info@215podcast.com is the email if you'd like to be part of the conversation. I am running up against time here, so we're going to have to zip through this really quick.
Careers in the climb and the journey ain't straight. From regionals to fractionals, it's never too late. Maybe you burned out, maybe just lost sight. We'll help you level off and set that glide right. We've seen busted check rides, busted hearts too, but it's all pilot life and we've been there, dude. So tune in, drop a line, let's clear the ice. We'll keep it real. Welcome to Flight Advice. Harvey Watt got your back when you're down for the count. Life, health, disability, that's what they're about. From medicals to claims, they'll set you right. Keeping pilots protected day and night. So ride in your story. Don't think twice. We got your 6. It's Flight Advice.
Oh, we're going to do flight advice?
Got to do flight advice and then go.
Can we just skip flight advice?
No, we can't. There's
I don't
10
have
million
flight advice
we
in
have
me
10
right
million
now.
flight advices. We can't skip them.
So what? I didn't sign up for this.
It's like you know what this is like? It's like it's like breaking down the cardboard boxes at your house. I don't know about you, but I got a lot of cardboard boxes. And
yeah, but can't we just let them all pile up and just do it all at once?
Yeah, like that's the great thing. Yeah, you break them all down.
Let's
the
just
problem
have
is
a
you
show.
can't miss a week.
Why?
You got to take it out to the curb every week because it's piles. It's like making the minimum payment on your credit card. You got to get it out there because you know more are coming next week. You know more flight advice is coming, so we got to do it. Here we go. I will read it to you, Max. Or maybe you should read it so you are more engaged. I don't know.
No, you read it to me.
Bit of a job offer pickle. Currently 2,000 total time, 400 multi-engine. Working on a solo 135 multi-job for about 80 hours a month with hotel rooms. Okay. It's a good experience, but not turbine, and pay could be better. Baby on the way in 7 months, so decisions must be made. It seems that if I were to get an ATP CTP now and then interview for a regional job as a street hire, training would hit somewhere near the baby window. No bueno. I think that long term I want to go 121, as in 5 to 10 years down the road. It seems nothing really beats that pay and lifestyle, but I've always had my doubts and curiosity for something else. I've been applying for other jobs in the meantime to see if there's anything that would be an easier or quicker transition. I may have an offer on a Beach King Air 200 EMS in a remote northern state. Double the pay, 7 on, 7 off type schedule. It's dual pilot, which concerns me a little bit about logging time, but from what I understand, per 135 operating rules, I can log those legs as SIC. Seems like a great step in terms of upping my income. My wife would not have to work, and more time at home. I'm concerned, though, that the time won't be as valuable until I can log PIC without any sketchiness, that the shift work might get to me, or that it might be in too small and cold of a town for me and my wife to really live life. Am I assuming too much about regional class date times being that far out, given I get and pass the interview, and taking this EMS is just delaying the inevitable, or is a bird in the hand worth 2 in the bush? And this person is 30 years old, lives in the southern United States, is married, has 1 kid, and 1 on the way.
All right.
2,000 total time, building multi-piston time right now.
Is it multi-piston? Does he say that? That's what I was trying to find. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, the thing you can't count on is like when you're going to get hired at the regional and how that's going to line up with your baby being born. And we've talked about this before. That is something that is very important to be there for, not only just for the day, but the coming, the following weeks and months after. So it's worth certainly considering, but it's impossible to predict. Like there's just no, even if you get hired, you don't know when the class date's going to be. You don't know how long the training program is. You don't know when your wife's going to have the baby. Like it's just impossible. So I don't feel like that. I feel like he's kind of mother effing the EMS job, and I don't think it's that bad of a move. Do you? Like SIC and a King Air, like even if it's required by the certificate, and who cares? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's more money move somewhere different, with your wife, figure it out. But again, like, do you have family around? Like, sticking your wife somewhere when you're 7 on, 7 off, where there's no support with a new baby, that's a tough gig. That's a real tough gig. Like, you think things are hard now? Like,
and it's not 7 on, 7 off, where on your on days, I'm assuming, judging from what I know of EMS, and maybe this is different, a lot of the EMS I know, you're sitting in an airport hangar apartment. It's not like you're at home.
Yeah,
I don't know if this job is like that, but I know a lot of them are, where when you're on call, like, you're going to be in the air, and, you're like our buddy, what is it, Ty, down in Miami. We got to be airborne. We got to go.
Oh God, we should see how the Caribbean shutdown is affecting Ty.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe he's getting some time off.
Finally.
He's probably stuck in Venezuela. He's in Caracas right now.
He's in Curacao, which is like, right.
Get me out of here.
All right. Anyway, but yeah, dude.
Okay.
Like,
the EMS. So I would get those. Here's the thing. This is my. I feel like you've got a good, like, you'll get the call from the regional. I think you've got good time, and you stand out from an instructor flying a multi-engine piston, like 135.
Yeah, I agree. And
I think that's
900 hours a year. Like, he's ripping it.
Like, you're flying a lot. I feel like what's going to happen if you take the King Air job is you're going to move there, and then you're going to get the call from the regional in like a few months.
Yeah.
And then
dude,
you're going to be like,
other thing too,
I just moved my wife halfway across, and now I've got to leave her to go to, like, I don't know. Like, I think if you go to the King Air job and you commit to be there for a little bit, are you going to be kicking yourself that you weren't available to take the regional job? Or are you going to be like, you know what, this is good. I'm happy. I move my family here. I'm going to get the baby through a certain amount of time. Maybe get till the baby's 1 year old. Then I'll move on. I think that's kind of the strategy you got to look at, because I just feel like you're probably going to get an interview in the next,
well, here's the
few
thing,
months.
dude. Homeboy has a job. Like, this isn't one of those things where it's like, I lost my job. What should I do?
Yeah.
Like, the pressure isn't that high. Now, he wants to make more money. It would be nice for his wife not to have to work. Like, all those things would be nice, but we're not in like emergency situation here. And I kind of, my gut feeling is to stick this out where you're at. Keep flying, right? Always be flying is the important part. And you're getting 900 hours a year. You're going to be able to make that jump without having to do something in between, like this EMS job. And by God, if your wife's parents, your mom is there, or your parents, or some family support and stuff with this baby, do not leave, dude. Stay put.
Yeah.
Like that.
I
it's
agree.
One of those things. Having a kid is something that's impossible to describe what it's like until you just have to figure it out on your own. But all we can say without trying to describe it is the more help you have, the better, especially when you're a pilot. And if you leave and you go out of
100%.
town and all that stuff, like, it's going to be, your life is going to be quite challenging.
The other thing that occurred to me too, with just resume and the speed at which you're building time, and you kind of said you were maybe thinking 121, but open to other. I kind of like the fractional move as something you should look into as well, because I think you're getting close to the times the fractionals are looking for. And that's a great way to go somewhere you're going to still build a great foundation through a great training program and flying airplanes. And you're going to build great time, and you can just do that fractional right to major move later on.
Yeah,
So
I love that move, dude, because I've always told you, like, a really boring career, and this isn't even him because he's already has flying 135, but like the most boring career I can think of is flight instructor to regional to major.
Yeah.
Like, that is just a one trick pony, like, very bland deal. So going to fly the private jet and just doing that thing around. And the other thing too is you don't know what you don't know. So having exposure to the most stuff maybe shapes your forever job decision, because those are real. Like, the gap is narrowed quite a bit on the fractional to major airline, in all respects, and that's a real viable long-term career now. And you may love that flying. So I like, if I were starting over in that, like, that would be a real strong consideration.
Yeah, to me, I think yeah, I agree. I think the fractional is so great because you're hedging yourself a little bit. You're getting experience in another side of an industry, which is super valuable. You're getting a valuable type rating. You're still flying a ton. You're probably home based. I just, to me, think that is the way to go. If you can do it, and I just feel like the experience you're gaining right now is going to be attractive to them. You're already flying 135.
Yeah,
You're probably out. And I know some of them want to see 3,000 hours, but that's not that far away for you, the amount you're flying.
I'll tell you what, dude. Hammering out 900 hours a year in a piston twin single pilot 135.
That's real.
That's a real deal. Like that, I give you mad respect for that. Like
if
that's,
I'm looking at something, I'm looking at that. I'm going, this person
dude,
has done some stuff,
and he's still alive. So that really says something about your aviation abilities.
Yep.
Is there de-ice on that airplane? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question.
Is there any sort of anti-ice, de-ice systems?
Yeah.
Hot props? Do we have boots? Where are we at?
What are we doing? Southern U.S. may not need too
like maybe
much.
It has just one of those little heated panels on the windscreen.
Is he flying
that's
Pilot
like
Pete's Apache
8.5 by 11 that you landed through with ice?
the little panel.
Dude, yeah, get some meta glasses. Send in some video of that.
Send us some videos.
We want to see what's going. That's what we need to do. We need to encourage everybody to get meta glasses. The those videos I put up of like flying the Cub and stuff like that. Those videos are so cool, taken by a pilot when you're a pilot, because it's just the perspective.
You're seeing the perspective of it.
Did I just send you my circle, the 2.7? Like, you see I'm looking back and forth all over the place. The thing I didn't tell you too is the auto throttles we're doing something weird. So those were off too. So that's why I keep it was real.
We're gonna post that.
Yeah, that was real deal.
This 2.7 circle and tell you right.
Yeah, which is, I guess so that's such a weird deal. Like, do you know who is not allowed to do that? Like, are like NetJets and FlexJet or like EJM, like, or are people
allowed to circle and tell you right?
Are they prohibited from doing the circle to 2.7?
I don't know. I mean, that would be in their ops manual.
I feel like a lot of people are, because it was like they were reporting winds out of the west, like gusting to 15, and people are still landing 9, like with these tailwinds at 9,050 feet field elevation. Like, it's just in a 7,000 foot runway. It's not like it's that long. I don't understand.
And you got a really high true airspeed too.
That's right, dude. We had a really high true airspeed landing into the wind. Like, but yeah, so we did the 2 circle to Telluride, and we went in there for New Year's, and ski patrollers were on strike. There was no skiing that took place. I'm so pissed. And they're all down there like picketing in front, and like, I'm not saying it's their fault. Like, there's obviously any sort of disagreement. It's hard to point fingers, but I'm just pissed, right? I'm just walking around. Like, not that the ski conditions are great right now, but we're with kids. I just need some groomers. Like, that's it. I just want to take, you want to take your kids skiing. It's a family ski trip. The conditions are not at the top of the list. Like, I just need something. Right.
Yeah.
And we have this trip planned. We're there, and they're picketing. They're like, yeah, thanks for your support. And so this is after a few days, and I'm
thanks for your support. What were you doing?
I'm just pissed, right? Like, at this point, and just in general, because I'm just like, every day I wake up, I look at the mountain, some nice green runs, and you can't do anything about it. Like, it's just
the Snowcat guys weren't on strike. They were still grooming.
Right. Yeah, they're making snow. You just and so I sit down there. These guys are all, got their signs and are picketing in the gondola. I'm like, I'm going to talk to these guys for a minute. And I said, look, guys, I'm a unionized employee, and I try and talk to them. I'm like, what are you guys looking for here? Because typically in my business, we'll have one airline will get a new contract, and then we'll look for like their contract plus whatever percent, and we try and better it just a little bit. So what are you guys asking for based on another controller group? And I ask him this, I lay this all out, and they're like, well, it's kind of complex because like there's different skills, and like we have like shooters and stuff. And they give me this answer that has no idea what they're even asking for. I'm like, all right. So they have actually no clear goal here. Like maybe the union, leadership does, but these guys that are picketing, I didn't get a real intelligent answer.
Max calling out the
so then I go, all right. I go, well, listen. I said, here's the thing. It's great you guys are, taking a stand here and doing what you think is right to better your work conditions. I'm all about that. But here's the deal. The reality of the matter is this has blown up a lot of people's Christmas break vacations with their family and kids, which is a huge deal. I said, so if you guys bend over at the end of the day and, you can't go another week without pay and you bend over and you take it from these guys and you fold, I'm going to be real pissed. And I'll let you know next time I come here to ski. I'm like, so stay strong. Good luck. And moved out.
Max distributing copies of Hard Landing to all the ski patrol guys on strike.
So I'm like, dude, it's hard to be pissed at like them because they just blew everything up, and it's strangling the town. The whole thing is just terrible. And we went there for our ski trip and skied 0 days. Never unzipped.
It's the power of self-help. I guess I was glad that the National Mediation Board released them to self-help prior to the. I'm just kidding. I don't think they're covered by the Railway Labor Act.
No, they're not. But it's organized labor, man. It's
this is the problem with big ski.
Always
Max.
work out.
This is Vail Resorts.
Well, that's the thing.
Private equity.
Right. Nobody cares about the controller's plight in Telluride, but it's just it was the thing. But then we took off and come back to Scottsdale, with 0 days of skiing. And I finally woke up the day before we were going to leave. I'm like, we got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. I look at my phone. It's 70 degrees in Scottsdale. It's like snowy, rainy crap. I'm just like, we got to get out of here. This is enough. I've had enough of this. I'm like, all right, everybody, we're leaving here in 2 hours. Pack up. I called the transportation. We went to the airport, and then we flew back to Scottsdale, and then the weather was crappy there. I mean, not that bad, but we had to fly the GPS Delta Circle approach into Scottsdale too, which is like, I've been flying out of here for, I don't know, like 20 years.
Yeah,
I've flown that probably five
once
times.
Every 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, Christian's never done it. It was funny. So did that with my mom sitting in the jump seat. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was...
Plot twist.
That's my musing of
that
the
was
week.
That's your well that's gonna do it for flight advice.
Yeah.
So good luck there with your piston multi. It could be a lot worse. You could be fighting a ski patrol strike and your mom could be in the jump seat going,
that's a
lot
you could have all these first world problems.
That's right. That is the firstest world problem there is.
I mean, think of how my kids feel.
Yeah.
Not getting to ski on their winter break.
Yeah. They were perfectly groomed, perfectly manicured, and they're opening back today, right? I think.
Oh yeah, they're opening with the equivalent of the Bunny Hill. It's so the whole thing is just a complete and utter disaster.
It's a disaster. All right, well, that is going to do it for a jam-packed episode of the 21.5 show. Thanks to everyone that wrote in, left comments, left reviews, wrote in for flight advice. Couldn't do it without all of the listeners. And of course, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Max. You know who they are. Advanced Air Crew Academy, Timothy P. Pope, Harvey Watt, Veris Jet Sales, James O'Neill, and the Air Comp Calculator. Appreciate their continued support into 2026. Looking forward to another great year behind the microphone. We'll have lots to cover in the coming weeks. Until then, remember
that flexibility is the key to air power. Flying into Telluride.
And winter vacations,
winter vacations with labor disputes and bad weather in Scottsdale. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
All right.
Somebody said that. I don't know who. It's weird.
I can't remember who that is.
Can't remember exactly.
Who would say that? All right.
Probably David Koresh. All right.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. Check. Stuck. Check it. Yeah. Yeah, new year cracking. Mike's hot 215, Dylan and Max back, keeping Pro Talk alive. Training center blues, box checking in the sim. Check ride prep, 0 reps, man, it's wearing us thin. Part 91, got the rules on repeat. Oral boards in the box, but no room for the street. Talking smoke in the cockpit, mask on tight. Hot mic, push the talk, yeah, you learn that fast in a fight. From JFK, circles to raw data pain. NDBs, haunt dreams, still flying the plane. We don't blame the centers, it's the system in play. Just trying to train smart, not just check it away.
Headline drop,
Automation on call. King Air hit the button, let the system land it all. Autoland debate got the forums on fire. Was it choice, was it force, was the training wide? UPS, Seinfeld, worst time, worst day. Heavy jet, heavy fuel, no room to play. We talk facts, not blame, let the data unfold. On a cruiser fluid, lessons worth gold. Mailbag, deep career moves. Timing's a bed, base first page. Seniority roulette. From Denver, I'm listed, jump seat scar. It's the frequency, pilots tune in and vibe. Trek 21.5. Where the pros come alive. Where the pros come alive. Checklist, jet fuel, and stories that fly. It's the cockpit crew. Oh, now let's take it sky high.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.